Hey everyone, welcome to Pineapple Knits, a knitting and spinning videocast. I'm Marina, and you can find me everywhere on the web at Pineapple Yarn, especially Instagram where I'm most active. And you could visit my hand-dyed yarn, fiber, and candle company at pineappleyarn.com. Thanks so much for joining me this week. It's been a really rainy week here in coastal South Carolina. Today the sun has finally come out for a little bit. I think we might still have some storms coming up here today and this weekend. We actually had a tropical storm blow through here. It's our second named storm so far this year, and hurricane season hasn't officially even started yet. So always kind of interesting, but I'm sure it will be fine. But I really appreciate you joining me this week, and I actually have spinning, I have knitting, and I have a finished object to show you. But I wanted to go ahead and let you know what I'm drinking this week. I am drinking Stash Coconut Mango, which I have had before on the podcast, and it is really delicious. It is so tropical, and it has a really great fruity scent. I'm finding more and more, except in the fall. I really love chai in the fall, but I'm really gravitating a lot towards fruity teas. I'm really into just fruity flavors right now. So I am drinking this hot. It would be delicious iced. It would be very, very good, but I've put a link below in case you're interested. But yeah, it's an oolong tea, so even though it's dark, it's not a black tea, so you don't have like the bitterness, and yeah, I really love it. Okay, on to finished objects. I actually knitted up 2 pairs of socks, and one of them I already wore. So they're in the wash right now. But this is a pair of shorty socks that I knit up using my recipe that I put down below. I knit these on my Erlbacher Gearhart Speedster. It is a circular sock machine, and it breezes through socks. I love knitting vanilla socks on it, and I used the colorway, I believe it was called Southern Spring, from my LOWCOUNTRY club a few months ago, and I think they turned out really pretty. They're just a really pretty kind of light blue gray background, and lots of different colored speckles. I thought it looked really pretty with the mood board I had created, and it was just full of like azaleas and camellias, and the background of the photos was this light blue gray color. So that's those, and I'm sure I will get a lot of use out of them, as I do with all of my knitted socks. I've really loved doing shorty socks lately, just because I wear them all the time. I wear them with sneakers. I wear them, I'm on my feet a lot when I dye yarn, and so I do wear sneakers quite a bit. And I wear wool socks year-round with them. And yeah, so I should just go through really quickly in case you haven't joined me before with the with my sock recipe. So what I have been doing, I've been using a 60 slot cylinder, so that's basically like 60 stitches around, and I do a 20 row hung hem, just a basic short row heel, and before the heel I think I do 6 rounds of just stitching. After the heel I do 65 rounds, and then I do a short row toe, so it's very quick. I also do a grafted toe, which before what I was doing is I was picking up all of the live stitches and then just doing a Kitchener stitch. Grafting is so it's basically the same form as Kitchener, but it's I don't pick it up onto knitting needles. I just use a darning needle and graft it together. I don't know what tutorial I used. I don't know how I learned it. I did teach myself relatively recently how to do this, and it is awesome if you have a circular sock machine. So I will try to find a tutorial and post it below because it has saved me so much time. So onto my works in progress. I am still knitting my Dotted Rays fade shawl. It is, I would say it's a little over halfway done at this point. I do anticipate it will probably take me another 3 weeks. And so you're probably going to see it several more times on this podcast. But here it is so far, and this is upside down. But this is how it is knitting up. It's getting really, really big. But the thing I love about this shawl is that it's knit in wedges, so not every row is going to be as long as all of these stitches. Some rows are shorter. It's the perfect project for me right now. I continue to say that, and it is just so much fun. I've finished 3 of the skeins. Each skein was 50 grams. So I have about 150 grams, a little more than that right now, because I have started the 4th skein. And I am just straight knitting these. I'm not fading them together. And so there are going to be, like, this is kind of an abrupt color change right here. It would fade very, very well if you used, if you alternated rows with each skein. I didn't do that. I just wanted to knit because I kind of like being able to see the wedges. It'll look really, really good in the finished product. And yes, I have knitted this before, so I kind of know what to expect with it, but it is turning out awesome. I love it so much. And I'm still using my giant cake of yarn. This thing it's getting a little floppy, but it's still pretty big. So, of course, in hindsight, I would have wound it with the last color first, and I would have used the outside string or the outside strand of yarn to knit from, and I didn't, and I might really regret that at the end. It might get a little unstable just because I'm working from the center out, but so far it's been working fine. And yeah, so this is actually where it started, and you can see all these really pretty eyelets, and then the eyelets grow and grow as the shawl grows. So yeah, so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm using a needle size smaller than is recommended, so I'm using a US size 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter. So yeah, about every night I work on this. I did do some spinning though. So I took a few nights and worked on a spinning project. This is, so I guess I'll move into that. This colorway is Galaxy, and it is from Adelaide Cottage. Unfortunately, she is not dying anymore, and so I feel very lucky that I was able to get this skein, or get this this length of fiber. And I'm just so surprised how purple this looks right now. It was kind of it might have been like a purple gray, but it had bits of pink and orange. This is a Blue Face Leicester and Sea Cell blend, and so the sheen on this yarn is really, really outstanding. And I did a 2-ply, a short backward draft, and I ended up with 100 grams, about 252 yards, which would put that at about a DK, maybe a DK to like a little a light DK. We'll say that. So yeah, I mean, this is the weight of yarn that I've really wanted to spin for quite a while. This is what I've been working on. Something that is not as light as a fingering, but the DK is kind of like my holy grail of spinning weight. So I was really happy with this. It's definitely not perfect, but yeah, it was just really, really fun to spin up. And the C-cell really made it glide. I mean, BFL is really fun to spin anyway, but the C-cell just added that little bit of slipperiness, and so that it really glided very well onto my wheel. So this was really fun to spin up, and I actually do have another spinning project on the wheel right now. I feel like a lot of times when I start a project, I'm always hesitant to start a project because, number one, children and destroying things, which is kind of my life. But number two, I always have like a knitting project and I always want to really focus on that. But when I start spinning, I love it so much that it's really nice to just start something right away and, you know, mix it up a little bit. Do some knitting and do some spinning, and even if you spend, you know, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes, you can get quite a bit accomplished. And so anyway, I was really excited to finish that. I am working through my stash. I was organizing all of my hedgehog fibers, Fiber Club. I don't remember at all if I've spun any of those months that I have signed up for the Fiber Club, and that's just ridiculous because it's beautiful fiber. And so I organized them all, and I am just going to start working through my stash big time, really working through. I don't have a huge stash, but it's kind of ridiculous for me to have these fibers and not be spinning them. It's just crazy. So that is what I'm going to be working on as, I guess, a long-term goal, kind of a short long-term goal. I'll just be working on those. But oh, you know what? I do have something else I wanted to show you. I almost forgot. So I did go to the beach this past weekend, and it was absolutely perfect weather. I mean, absolutely perfect. The Atlantic Ocean isn't too hot yet. It doesn't feel like a bathtub yet. And the weather was warm and there were no storms. I mean, it was so perfect. So I've been working on knitting some dishcloths / washcloths, I guess. And so I finished up another one. And this time, I made it a little bigger. So this was my first one that I knit up, and this is my second one. And I am using, here's the ball band. It's Peaches and Creme, number 17003, Energetic Pink. And I think I have 2 balls of this. So I'm still on the first ball, and I started another one. I'm using Gramma's Favorite Dishcloth by PJ Allen. I believe that's what it's called, but I will link below. And I'm using, I think I'm using a US 6. I'm using a size smaller than whatever is listed in the pattern. But one thing I did with this one is I slipped the first stitch of every row with the yarn in front. And I do that, at this point, it's such a habit and it's just ingrained in my muscle memory that I always do that, and it really makes for a nice edge. Just makes for a really nice edge, a really nice clean edge. And I will show you just straight up knitting and garter stitch what it looks like. So I guess it just looks different. I hope you can see the difference between those two. I started slipping with the yarn in front, the first stitch with yarn in front, And I started doing that as a technique just for baby and child cardigans, just very simple cardigans that aren't steeked or anything. And the ones where the button band is just incorporated into the actual sweater. So the very simple patterns. And I started doing that to make a really clean edge. And ever since then, with any garter stitch pattern, it is just muscle memory. I don't know where I saw that technique. I'm 90% sure I probably read it in a Ravelry project page and grabbed onto that technique and have been doing it ever since. But that kind of gives you a comparison between the two. This one is with the yarn with the first stitch and the yarns in front, and then this one is just pure garter stitch. So yeah, these are just wonderful. I mean, garter stitch is a wonderful textural, thick, cushy stitch, and these are completely manageable projects for humid weather. And because it's 100% cotton and it's not a huge heavy project, it's not, for me, it's not hard on my hands. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed them. They're just fun. I mean, stripes and these colors are really pretty. But these would be wonderful as washcloths or dishcloths. This is a very popular pattern. I'm sure you'll know about it. But I'm just really happy to be able to have a pattern like this and have a project like this when I'm at the beach or in really humid weather, because it has been very humid here. I would say mid 80 percentile. I mean, it's been very humid. So I don't know if you've noticed, there aren't a lot of times where I knit with mohair, even though I absolutely love a strand of mohair silk paired with another, you know, a merino wool strand or what have you. I can't do that because of the humidity. It's so humid. And so many times I have my projects on the go or I have them outside and I can't knit with them. The mohair is just, I can't do it. Plus, it doesn't get so cold here where I feel like there's a very small period of time here where I would like to wear mohair, if that makes sense. But because it's so warm. Anyway, cotton, very happy about this, and yeah, started on the third one. That is all I've been working on this week, and let me think what else is going on. I guess I'll move into shop news now. I have been dying up a storm. I've been dying so much this week, and if you've seen if you know me holding up things up to the camera, do not look at my hands, because I had a couple, for 2 days I had my gloves break and dye get into my gloves. It's not a pretty picture. My hands are a mess right now, but that's okay. It's just the way it is. But I've had so much fun dyeing yarn this week, and I have most certainly over 100 skeins I need to wind up now. So I have quite a lot of work to do ahead of me, but I love winding. I think I said that last week on the podcast. I love winding yarn. So it's just so fun to see all this work go into yarn and then actually be able to see how the speckles turned out, see how the colors turned out. It's really great. And I've been sharing with you every day on Instagram stories, just like little glimpses into my dye day. And so I hope you've enjoyed those. But yeah, I will have a big shop update next week, which I believe is June 6th. I'm not sure. It will be next Friday though. I'll put it below. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to remind you about is that my June clubs, the pre-orders for those are almost finished now, because it is May 28th today, I think. Oh no, it's the 29th. So there's just a few more days left to sign up for those June club pre-orders if you are interested. I will put a link below. They're super fun for this month. I'm really excited about them. So if you wanted to squeeze an order in before the end of the month, I would recommend you do it now so you can get your order in. And I will be dyeing those up next week. I'm super excited about them. And then in other news, not a lot. I haven't been doing a lot of gardening this week just because of all the rain. We've been getting quite a bit of rain from the storm, from Tropical Storm Bertha. And so, and then with the high humidity, we've just had a lot of pop-up storms along the coast and dumping rain here and there. So I'm sure when I get back to my garden, it's going to be crazy overgrown and I will have a lot of work to do, but I'm very happy for the rain because it really does make a difference in the garden. And yeah, I'm really excited to get out there and see what has been growing since the last time I was out there. So since it's been raining, I've just been doing a lot of projects in the house that really need to get done. This house is quite a fixer-upper. I'm sure I've said that before. And so, for example, I had a linen closet that had not been painted since the 1960s. Yeah. So I basically just had to kind of fix it up, take all the shelves out. There were shelves falling down. It was just really just kind of a mess. And so I primed all that and painted it and the shelves and just washed everything in there. And it was quite an improvement, and hopefully my little laundry helpers will be able to put everything back really nicely now as well. We can hope. But yeah, so things like that. I've just been taking care of some house things that are easily ignored when the weather is so nice and I can go outside and garden. But that's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you like the podcast, I'd love if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you next week. And until then, I hope you'll have an awesome day. Bye.